Okay, so this is a project that I shot on a Holga 120 film camera, which produces a square negative, a 2-inch by 2-inch negative. And usually you get discrete frames. What I did for this was I overlapped the frames by winding back the film manually. And so what that does is that creates this blending between the frames from one shot to the next. And the other part of this project was I had to do it all in sequence. This was one afternoon. I had been on a video shoot in Middle Tennessee, down south about 100 miles from Nashville. It was a really pretty day, and I had my camera, so I decided I would do this on the way back. And this, I'm just scrubbing through it right here, slowly. It shows you what I did. So you have to think about what was the last frame you shot and what's the next frame you're going to shoot to get a really good, blending. So I'm just scrubbing through kind of slowly so you can see what these images are. The other thing that's happening here while you see it is I have doubled up in the video. I double it up. This is what the actual frames look like. I will also trying to figure out what I can turn on, turn off here. Okay. Just because of what I wanted to do here, this is a single frame. So this is what it looked like coming right out of the film camera. And it's getting brighter and darker because that's connected to the audio. And when I play it, you'll see it, but I just want to show you through here right now the different frame shots. And sometimes the camera is plastic, and sometimes it kind of leaks light, which looks like what kind of happened here. But I think it came out really cool. And, trying to think of what you shot before the next shot and try and make it blend well was kind of tricky. And I just tried to pick some, nice nature footage and some architectural. This is like a big power tower. Architectural shots. This right here is the giant WSM radio tower, which is the Grand Ole Opry radio station. And it's big. It's the only kind of radio tower of its kind, probably anywhere in the country. And you can hear that radio station up in Chicago. It broadcasts so far. It's very tall. I'm just pointing that out. They also have a replica of this on the Country Music Hall of Fame in Nashville. And then we kept on going, really nice fall colors, and ended up down at the state capitol. This right here, it's a carillon at the Bicentennial Mall. And these are all chimes. So they play different songs every half hour. It's a cool place. So that's where I ended up. But what I wanted to do for this, so it's one long giant strip of film. that was not cut into frames. I had to cut it into pieces because I scanned it with a Epson film scanner to make it digital, brought it into Photoshop, and made the one long continuous strip. So I stitched them back together, and then brought that into Adobe After Effects, which is the program I have here. And as I said earlier, I wanted to add layers, and I offset them a little bit. As you can see, it's offset a little bit here, and ghosted back one of the layers. So one of the effects here is it's changing opacity and how the colors transmit through the layers. You could see that effect when I've stacked the layers up. Now, what is the meaning of all this? Well, then I have a piece of ambient music that I wrote and recorded with various electric instruments, baritone guitar, bass, synthesizer, a strummable synthesizer that's kind of cool called a Q chord. And these over here are all the stems. And what that means is I recorded everything and mixed it, and that's what you hear, but these are all broken out so that the bass is by itself and the chords are by themselves. And the reason I did that was because down here, you'll see what I have here, audio amplitude. So the blue, red, and yellow tracks are different sound frequencies. So they react differently. And what is going on here are, these are all little keyframes, and I'll zoom in so you can see them individually. See all these keyframes? And that is information that, if you'll notice down here, right here, these keyframes are toggling different values, and it does different things. You see it flickers the opacity. Here I have the layers doing different things. One of them's controlling the saturation of the color, so it gets really rich and oversaturated sometimes, and then it gets less saturated. This is a normal layer, nothing's going on here, and this is a multiply layer, which means this layer is interacting with the layers below and exaggerating some of the effects. So now I'll play it back, and you'll get the idea of the music track, which is this low one here, is the actual music. These are keyframes that were recorded from the music. And After Effects has a feature where it will make keyframes from the music itself. So when you see the audio track, you see how the audio waveforms get louder and softer and louder and softer in different areas. And that's going to affect what happens to the keyframing. This is a bit of a softer area. And when it's louder, it gets a little more exaggerated. So I hope that all makes sense. And what I will do now is kind of pull all the way out so you can see the whole timeline. The other thing I did was, one of the keyframes of these layers is moving the whole movie along its whole length. So when you see it go across, that's also a keyframe layer. So there's a lot going on with this, but it was just a cool experiment, starting with analog film, one long continuous negative, and then the music triggers the effects. So now we'll play it. And let me find a spot here. This spot, green means it's rendered out and it'll play.